People are hyped for the finals. 250,000 concurrent players on Steam, massive streamers jumping in, you name it. But why? What distinguishes the finals from the dozens of other shooters released every year? I'm gonna give you 5 reasons why I think the finals is about to blow up, and why you should be jumping in on day 1 when this game releases. Probably sometime in December. So now let's talk about what is, in my opinion, the single biggest factor in the success of the finals. Here's some streamers I like reacting to the finals.
You know what I really like about this game? It feels like old school, just here's a game, it's fun, enjoy.
Notice how surprised they seem by the concept of a game just being fun. Why the is fun such an alien concept these days, and how did we get here? In order to understand why the finals is tickling that gamer lobe in our brains, we sort of have to understand the context here. There's been a lot of FPS legends that have been gasping their dying breaths lately. Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo. They're all treading water while milking their players for every dollar they can before they drown. On the other hand, battle royales like Apex Legends and COD Warzone are so overrun by cheaters and smurfs that low-skill players like me barely get to fire a shot before we're kicked back to the lobby. So there's a lot of gamers, like me, that love shooters but just have nowhere to go to stretch their noob wings. Where can I just have some fun? And into this massive void in the market drops the finals. It's fast-paced. It's got a bright, energetic art style. It's not a BR, so you don't spend most of your time waiting in the lobby. It's got a stupid sledgehammer. I really like the stupid sledgehammer. It's got a flamethrower that actually works and turns out to be one of the best, most fun weapons in the game. Just for reference, here's how flamethrowers generally work in shooters.
Oh, wait.
It's got the most insane destruction you'll ever see in a video game. Seriously, holy how the is every game not doing this? More on that in a second. All the while, you're listening to this banging video game ass soundtrack that is just begging you to jump into the queue. And it's free. By the end of the beta, I was just laughing and grinning like an idiot, and it was like I was 14 years old again for a second, goofing off with my friends in Unreal Tournament or something. Seriously, ask yourself, when was the last time you just booted up a game and immediately had a blast? No insane loading screens to sit through, no accounts to set up on EA Plus or whatever, no weird glitches and bugs, no crazy lag, no settings to tweak so you can actually see anything, no guns to customize. You can just install it and start shooting people literally 1 minute later. There's very few shooters on the market that can compete with the finals in terms of its accessibility and pure fun factor. And I'm not trying to say the finals lacks depth. Oh, there's depth alright. If you're a competitive Omega sweat, well, this game will definitely moisten your palms. And there's a ranked tournament mode just for you. I'm saying this game seems to do what I would have assumed is like rule number 1 of game design. The game should be easy to learn, difficult to master. And above all, the game has to be fun. And the finals is designed to be fun even when you lose. But sadly, the shooter space is simply too saturated these days. Even fun games like Splitgate die pretty much on arrival. To really turn heads, you need something new, something fresh, something people can't get anywhere else. And the finals has it. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ever since Battlefield started tanking, gamers have been starving for some destruction.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Things go boom, good. And I am so glad that some ex-Battlefield devs jumped ship and started their own studio, Embark.
Michael, you have no idea how high I can fly.
And finally brought us some true next-gen gaming with the destruction in the finals. This is beyond anything you've seen in a shooter before. While Battlefield was busy scaling back the destruction for Battlefield 2042, the finals devs managed to pull off some cloud computing wizardry to make the destruction in this game work without requiring a supercomputer to run it. The game is designed with destruction in mind. One of the best ways to steal a cash out from an enemy team that's holed up in a building is to simply blow out the floor underneath them and drop the cash out station to your level. Or you can just bring down the entire building and fight it out in the smoldering wreckage. The level of chaos with the destruction can get truly insane. And when a bunch of teams descend on one of those cash outs, ooh mama, things get spicy real quick. And the game is gorgeous. It's got that Unreal Engine 5 gloss to it, combined with really beautiful detailed maps and a clean design aesthetic that just makes everything pop. And thanks to their server-side rendering, you can enjoy destroying the out of this beautiful environment without ever dropping a frame. But the destruction is really something you have to experience for yourself. It's impossible to communicate how fun, how chaotic, how creative the gameplay gets thanks to the simultaneously precise and spectacular destruction this game offers. So if nothing else, play a couple of hours of the finals and just blow some up. Come on, it's free. You gotta trust me on this. But don't be surprised when you look up 3 weeks later and realize you got totally sucked in by the... The gameplay in the finals is just a shot of adrenaline directly to the heart. It's frantic, overstimulating, borderline nonsensical. I had to take a 5-minute breather after every match like the boomer I am because my nervous system was just overloaded. You've got invisible little guys running around with katanas, grapple hooking up your and freezing you in place with a stun gun before they melee you to death. You've got giant dudes with rocket launchers and flamethrowers running straight through walls before one-shotting you with a sledgehammer. And then you've got the mediums, the healers. And while that might sound boring, it's actually the most stressful class in the game since everybody and everything is constantly exploding around you as you fly through the flames and toxic fumes with your defibs trying to res your teammates before you get team wiped. And the time to kill here is long. This ensures that skilled players can actually express that skill instead of just getting sniped by campers, and bad players like me can enjoy comical cluster gunfights where me and my opponents fail to kill each other in increasingly sad and desperate ways, going through multiple magazines and hopping around like losers as we reload for the 14th time. There's tons of guns and utility to mess around with, and the small, medium, heavy class lineup always keeps things feeling fresh and gives you plenty of opportunity to switch up your playstyle in more than just cosmetic ways. More importantly than all that though, there's a kind of synergy to the design of the finals. Everything is optimized for fun. The movement, the gameplay, the music, even the premise of the game. The fact that you're a contestant competing on some kind of Hunger Games style virtual reality show is brilliantly tailored to give the devs the perfect platform to make the most enjoyable game possible. Enemies literally glow so you can actually see them instead of feeling like you're being stalked by the predator the whole game. The sound design is taken right out of a casino. It's just money sound, so the kill sound effect jacks directly into your capitalist dopamine centers. The map design, the announcers,
and he gets the backstab. What a steal!
the fireworks going off in the sky, they're all just there to signal to your brain that this isn't a battlefield, it's a playground. Too many games these days just get bogged down in thematic consistency and realism to really embrace the ludicrous fun of video games. Like, come on, Call of Duty, what the does boots on the ground gameplay even mean?
Boots on the ground gameplay our fans love.
A boots on the ground experience.
Don't get me wrong, I love tense milsim games. Squad is one of my favorite shooters ever, but sometimes I don't need to feel like a military badass dude pulling off some kind of actual Navy SEAL tactics. Sometimes I just want to be a moron running around with a flamethrower, tearing down buildings with my sledgehammer. The finals isn't trying to gaslight you into believing the game is good with some marketing mumbo jumbo about how immersive it is and how it's not just a shooter, it's an experience. It's just a game, an arena shooter, literally and thematically. I want to touch briefly on the main game mode that the finals has to offer, the Cashout Mode. I feel like there's been a real drought of fun new game modes in shooters lately. Ever since Battle Royales became a thing, every game pretty much just wants to be a Battle Royale or turns into a mindless deathmatch. But the genius of the Cashout system in the finals is that it sort of brings together the best elements of Counter-Strike Bomb Diffuser, Capture the Flag, and even something like a Battle Royale. See, the main problem I'm having these days as a low-skill FPS player is that most games don't really allow me to shoot much at all. Take a game like Hunt Showdown. Interesting premise with a fun game mode that isn't quite a BR and definitely isn't a mindless deathmatch either. But in Hunt Showdown, most of what you do as a noob is run around killing zombies before getting sniped in the head by a single shot from a player you didn't even see. If you include the matchmaking and loading times, you can often be engaged in a match for like 10 minutes, during which you might not fire a single bullet, before getting one-shotted and ending right back in the main menu. And while that can be great for realism and immersion and tension and a whole lot else, it's definitely not always fun. Now let's compare that to something like the finals. You are constantly shooting, you're constantly killing, you're constantly dying, and you're constantly respawning. In fact, reviving teammates is pretty much crucial in this game, so you're almost always in the action. And unlike Valorant, where you play 13 rounds of attack or defense and then switch, in the finals you are constantly oscillating between defending and attacking. You might first be locking down a site and defending a cash out, only to then potentially get team wiped and have to pivot to attacking a cash out that another team has control of. And in the midst of all this, you're constantly having to account for getting third-partied by other teams on the map, just like in a battle royale. And instead of playing the games in static rounds of action punctuated by camping, slow buy rounds, or loading lobbies, the game is fluid and continuous, where a single cash out point might get captured 3, 4, 5 times before the timer runs out, and it leads to those nail-biting clutch moments that we all love. And thanks to the chaos that a 4-way engagement with infinite destruction brings, even the noobs can sometimes steal a cash out at the buzzer and win the game. And that's why I needed a breath after every round, because I was getting more gameplay in a 15-minute casual game in the finals than I had been getting from hours playing something like Squad, where I have to sit still in a truck for like 5 minutes before anyone fires a single round.
Cash out station.
Talk about putting your money where their mouth is. Ouch!
Frankly, these days, I'm just happy to play a game that actually works. And the finals, fortunately, presented very few issues in terms of bugs, glitches, server crashes, or desync. The ping was decent in my region and my bullets landed pretty much as I would expect. And as a bonus feature for people living in regions like Asia where finding a match can sometimes be difficult, you can actually change your server region at the click of a button. Why are so many games afraid to give you this option or to provide you a server browser? Please, DICE, sometimes I just want to play the game and there's no one in the area to play with. And I can't believe that this is actually something worth complimenting so highly, but that's where we are in gaming today. Remember Battlefield 2042 on release? You could unload full clips into an enemy, only to have them turn around and one-shot you through cover. In the finals, at least I could tell that when I died, it was because I suck. And I can't aim, not because the game just refused to acknowledge my damage. I've heard people say the finals runs on servers with a tick rate of 128 Hz. fuck if I know what that means, but I've experienced 128Hz tick rates before in Valorant, and it's just something I think should be legally mandatory for all shooters, because the responsiveness and hit registration just feels so much more on point. It feels like couch co-op or LAN connections with zero latency, smooth as butter and infinitely more engaging, because you're getting accurate feedback on your actions. So there you have it, 5 concrete reasons why I love the finals as a low-skill noob. Too often, I think conversations on shooters are dominated by the elite players, and sometimes I think video games are suffering because they're turning into a job, literally. With stuff like Twitch, games are turning into a spectator sport instead of just being a place for ordinary people to goof around. Thankfully, the finals brings the fun back. Unfortunately, we still don't have an official launch date for the finals, but the rumor is it's coming out sometime in December. Hope to see you there on launch. Cheers, I'll see you in the next one.